Hello, hello, everybody. Coming off of mute.
Sorry, I'm adjusting to the new monitor light, so I'm just like constantly moving my mouse around chaotically.
No worries.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Seed&Spark first annual 2020 town hall. Hopefully the last, because please don't repeat 2020. Please don't let that be a thing. I don't want Groundhog's Day of 2020. I'm Meghan Ross, Seed&Spark's head of creator success.
And I'm Bri Castellini, your favorite neighborhood film community manager.
And before we kick off our town hall, we'd first like to acknowledge the land we are all on is occupied territory. Please check the YouTube live comments feed for a link to a First Nations COVID relief fund and an amazing app that will tell you exactly whose land you're currently watching from, or in the video description if you're watching this as a VOD. I am coming to you from the land originally belonging to Jamanos, Tonkawa, Kowa, Witakan, and Comanche. And if you're not familiar with Seed&Spark, we are a platform built to support creators. Sorry, I'm scrolling my thing around. By providing tools for wherever you are in your journey, from crowdfunding and education to creative distribution approaches. I know I came on with a screen hot, but to kick things off, we're going to do a little bit of a recap of what we accomplished in 2020. Many thanks to the help of our creators. And then we'll get right into the open forum section where you can drop your comments, questions, concerns, complaints, compliments about Bri's Christmas tree in the background. Very important. So yeah.
Yeah, please feel free to add comments now. We're gonna, we might not answer them right away, but if you have questions for us about how things have gone this year, about Seed&Spark in general, about the future of everything that we're all doing here today, please feel free to add them. If you have suggestions, if you have requests for the upcoming year, go ahead and start throwing those in the comments and we will address them as they come up once we do our fun little recap. So Meghan, how did our year look? What are the successes that we want to celebrate instead of focusing on all of the things that we didn't get to do?
Yes, we're focusing on the wins and not the losses. I personally want to say to any creator out there that has done anything, or even done nothing this year, that's surviving is thriving when you're in a pandemic. So honestly, you, like, anything you've done or not done this year, you should pat yourself on the back for. But on the Seed&Spark side, we launched 391 projects as of Friday. So that's a huge feat. So congrats to all of those who crowdfunded in a global pandemic. What a feat that has been.
Mm-hmm. And we maintained our 80% success rate, which is exciting. So even during a global pandemic, 80% of the projects that launched with us successfully got their green light. Actually, 81%. So I think we actually increased our success rate over the pandemic by a percentage or two.
That's awesome. And yes, in real life, events became a thing of the past very quickly, but we did host 17 events in pre-COVID days up until the lockdown. And then we moved fully virtually, which is what you're seeing today. So including today's 142 virtual Seed&Spark workshops and events. So I'm sure you've seen Bri's smiling face in a lot of events, the Lunch&Learns. We've had our CSSs. We've had a couple letter writing parties for those who might have met me in those. But we did it all with, the determination to bring our community anything to keep ourselves connected with y'all. And then at those virtual events, and this number also includes those first few months of in-person events, we've served over 10,000 creators, which is amazing. And we're hoping to continue growing. I know there's a lot of first-time filmmakers we haven't reached yet, but that's a big goal for us next year, is to find those folks who don't know what Seed&Spark is. Always growing, personally and as a company. And we had our big film festival survival pledge that we launched early in the pandemic, and we had over 250 festivals and distributors who signed that which was amazing because then that allowed creators to screen their films virtually online, because film festivals have a lot of rules around them in general, around online distribution in particular. So that was great, making things more accessible to creators.
Yeah, making sure that this year and the online festival requirements didn't mean that you had to do away with opportunities that you might have otherwise had. It was a really, really cool moment of the community coming together and everybody collectively realizing the old rules do not work in this situation. So we're really, really honored to have been a part of that and to see the community come together so strongly.
Mm-hmm. And here we are, the Creator Success Team. So some of y'all have met us online in various ways. I'm new to the team. I started in this role in October, and Bri is, you've seen her a lot in the virtual events and in workshops. Danny is always holding it down in the chat. Shay is behind the scenes running tech on all of these events. And we're really excited to have Julie join us as a content creator who's going to team up with Danny to bring you some wonderful content series starting next year. So that is all of us. So you can refer to us directly. We're on a first name basis now.
Yeah, the five of us are going to be the main people that you're chatting with online, whether that's in events, in content that we're putting out, and on social media. So welcome to our team. You are all the creators that we are hoping to help succeed. So let us know if you need anything. And yeah, I see Danny is waving in the chat. Danny is our wonderful Seed&Spark YouTube channel chatter. So when she's doing fun stuff in there, that's Danny. Know who to credit.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind, I mean, as someone who worked in social media, people are always like, it's a bot, or it's just an intern. No, it's a human being. I mean, interns are human, but it's a human being with feelings behind those comments, being very thoughtful and hearing everything you say. So shout out to Danny, because I it's hard to work social media. But yes, this is our team. We're all creators ourselves. So we have your best interests in mind this year. And let me move my pointer over. So now we're going to just run down our a high level version of what we're hoping to do in 2021, but also keep in mind that this isn't the end all be all. We're taking your comments from today. We're taking your comments in the creator survey, which we'll talk about later. And we're going to apply that to our strategy, because why should we give you things that you don't want or need? We want to hear from you. So to start things off, we're going to introduce a few more education workshops that Bri has been developing. So Bri, do you want to just talk briefly on these few topics?
Sure. Yeah. So I assume most people in the community right now who are watching today have attended some of our awesome Seed&Spark educational events. Those were Crowdfunding to Build Independence, which is sort of the high-level crowdfunding workshop that we've been doing, I think, for 5 years at this point. The Art of the Pitch and the Distribution Down Low, both the features version and the short form version. So those have been our three main curriculum pieces for the past couple of years, but we are looking to expand that in 2021. So if you are from a partner organization who's already done all of those workshops with us and is looking for some new learnings, we've got you covered. So the main ones that we're focusing on in the new year is a workshop called Executing a Crowdfunding Outreach Plan, which is something that we sort of touch on in our crowdfunding workshop, but it's basically, okay, you have an amazing crowdfunding campaign. How do you get it in front of people? Well, that's what we'll be talking about. The most effective ways to raise money and make sure that you're breaking through all the noise. That's kind of what that workshop covers. Then we've got Film Budgeting 101, which is going to be kind of geared for first-time filmmakers, people who are just starting out, maybe student filmmakers who want to crowdfund because they need money to make their film, but they're not 100% sure how much money that they need. So this will be a workshop walking them through making their first budget and figuring out all of the things that go into making a film, all the contingencies that you might not realize before you've made one. So that's going to be a great one for beginners and people who are looking for a refresher alike. And then putting the fun in crowdfunding is a joke from the crowdfunding workshop again. And that's going to be a little bit of a shorter workshop that's more focused on reminding you that crowdfunding absolutely can and should be a creative exercise. And we don't just say that lightly because like we're a crowdfunding company and we like to be seen as fun and friendly, but because like genuinely your audience will remember if they had fun during your crowdfunding campaign. If your crowdfunding campaign is cookie cutter and boring and just like have a poster, I'll make you a film in a year. The film might be great and that's awesome, but if you are looking to use crowdfunding properly as an audience building platform and a fundraising platform secondarily, then making it fun for yourself and for your audience is going to be super, super important. So that's what that workshop's going to be about. All the different ways that you can genuinely enjoy the process of crowdfunding rather than being like, oh, I have to crowdfund again. Because trust me, I've been there. So that's kind of what that one's going to work through.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big sell to people because people hear the word crowdfunding and then it's like audible sigh. But it really can be fun, and especially if you're a creative person, you're a filmmaker or a creator in another area, why not bring that creativity to your crowdfunding campaign and not just think of it as a way to get money?
Yeah, because it's a lot of work to just get money. Think of all the other cool things
Yes.
you could be getting out of it.
Exactly. And then also we'll be just revising how frequently we do some of our recurring events or event series. So we're aiming to do 1 to 2 lunch and learns a month. We've already kind of started that cadence. So we'll likely have one partner event that you'll see on the calendar each month. And then we're hoping to introduce eventually a Meet the Seed&Spark team lunch and learn, where you'll hear from a team member, whether it's from the creator success team outside of Bri and myself, or someone from a completely different department, because Seed&Spark is not just the creator success team. There are so many wonderful people outside of us that are working on different things that we'd love to kind of have them talk to you about, because they can put it in better words than we can because they work on it every day. So
yeah, we connect people through stories that matter in a lot of different ways. So if you're curious what other ways we are connecting people through stories that matter, stick around because we've got way more than just our crowdfunding and our education arms.
Mm-hmm. And then also slightly revising our creative sustainability sessions. We're going to make those quarterly. We're thinking of making them more of a multi-person event around a theme. So we'll announce next quarter what the first theme will be, and be on the lookout for that as well. And then Content Hub, I alluded to this a little bit with Julie's work. She'll be coming on and working on some short form video series. We're also launching an Instagram Live Q&A series. You'll be the first to know. I'll give you a little hint, but it's basically called What's Your First with Seed&Spark, and we'll talk to filmmakers, actors, creators about their very first project, their humble beginnings. And did you know we have a blog? Bri has written many blog posts. We'll be making sure you can find those blog posts. We're going to be adding more to that, doing some guest blogging as well. And that will tie in with the work that Julie's going to be doing next year as our content creator.
Yeah, basically, we're trying to bring even more educational content to you in even more formats because, previously we had our online crowdfunding class, which is absolutely still available on our website. I don't have a direct link, but Danny, in the comments, can you send a link to the vid class? Actually, I think I can do that. Yeah, so we've had that for a really long time, just a video version of our Crowdfunding to Build Independence workshop. And then we've had a blog for a long time that we haven't used a ton before this year, but now we are trying to post new content as often as possible. So if you have a blog topic that you'd love for us to cover, maybe it's a best practices thing for starting a Seed&Spark campaign, maybe it's a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the subjects that we bring up in other places, like absolutely let us know. And then, yeah, Julie is coming on to even expand that further so that if you're curious about something in the realm of crowdfunding and connecting with your audience, Seed&Spark is going to be your hub for all of that information in as many formats as will help you learn it.
And you can also weigh in on the type of content we give you. Quick plug for our creator survey. You can directly weigh in. Each section of the survey directly talks about different categories that the creator success team works on. So it'll start off with questions around crowdfunding, and then we'll move into education and virtual events questions, and then also how we distribute our content. So You can tell us what kind of learner you are, if you prefer a podcast over a video or a blog over a class, whatever your heart desires. Please let us know. That link will also be dropped in the comments, and that will be open until the end of the year. So you have plenty of time to make your voice heard.
Yeah, basically, if you want to have a say in what we do next year and how we are of service to you, fill out that survey, because that is exactly the way that we are going to decide which things to do next.
And without further ado, here is the open forum, the town hall part of our town hall. So this is when we'll start to review some of the comments and questions y'all have been dropping in the chat. So
so the first question is here. I was wondering, if someone doesn't get the green light, can we allow them to campaign again? Yes, absolutely. So of the 20% of campaigners who unfortunately don't hit their green light in their campaign funding period, they are absolutely welcome to launch again. And we are here to work on new strategies. So, taking the learnings from the first campaign that didn't go exactly to plan and figuring out how to make it more successful in the future. So definitely, if that is ever a concern, let us know, and we are here for you. For anybody who wants to ask really concrete questions about crowdfunding, you can always email crowdfunding@seedandspark.com. So that'll be your contact. So we are always open for new emails, and let us know if you have any really specific crowdfunding questions. We can answer them right now, but if you want an email address for us, that's crowdfunding@seedandspark.com. Let's see. I just want to shout out Marty Lang, who was actually in our very first Lunch&Learn with a worse streaming platform. So it's not the best quality, but everything that Marty had to say was awesome. And he also did crowdfund back in, I believe, March for Stay With Me, which got a green light in April. So congrats, Marty. Thanks so much for being in our community. And I saw this comment. I just wanted to address it really quick. So I'm not sure who contacted you about Seed&Spark. We don't charge creators to use our platform. Like all crowdfunding platforms, we take a percentage of what you raise. However, Seed&Spark actually has the lowest percentage taken from what creators raise in total, because we offer the opportunity for your supporters to cover the fee for you. So our standard platform fee is 5%, but the actual platform fee for most creators is around 2 to 3%, because at checkout, your supporters have the option to just add 5% to their pledge, which for most pledges isn't actually that much money. It's usually less than $2 additionally. And so your actual, you're taking home way more of your money than you're raising on any other platform. I will say my last campaign that I ran also in March, that was an adventure, but we had 0.5% of a fee taken out of our money because 89% of my supporters chose to cover the fee for me. So as long as you're communicative with your audience, there is a ton of ways that you can raise even more money on Seed&Spark than anywhere else. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. We don't charge you to use our services. The only way we make money is if you make money.
Yeah, as someone who, before I knew about Seed&Spark, crowdfunded on Indiegogo, I had sticker shock when I saw how much was taken out of what I had raised. So don't let that happen to you. Crowdfund with Seed&Spark.
Okay, just looking through here. And remember, if you have suggestions for upcoming topics, we can talk about that as well. So somebody is late. Indy Jen Fisher, a real one, an amazing person. Yes, we are expanding beyond crowdfunding for films. Films are still our bread and butter, but if you have a podcast, if you have a VR project, if you have a game or a novel or anything else under the sun that constitutes as storytelling or a platform that supports storytellers, crowdfund with us. We are absolutely down to have your variety of projects.
Yeah, we want to support all mediums. And then, as Bri has mentioned, if you have more specific questions around that, like how do I gear it towards a very different platform or vertical that I am doing? If you previously worked in film crowdfunding, send those questions our way, and we'll definitely work with you on making sure that your campaign makes the most sense for what you're crowdfunding for.
Totally. And I have a question here about can you transfer a campaign? So there's no platform way to do that. What we would recommend is, if you're looking to change platforms for your crowdfunding campaign, either close down your current campaign on the other platform or let it run its course and then relaunch on Seed&Spark. So there's no easy way to do it. That's not just us. That's for any platform. But yeah, we're happy to work with you. So I just got a question here about feedback. So Christopher Price asks, we've just started building our campaign. How long does it take for you to get back to people who want their campaign reviewed? So yes, the feedback process is mandatory for everybody who crowdfunds on Seed&Spark and is the #1 reason why we have such a high success rate. So the way that the feedback process works is that once you submit your draft campaign for feedback, and it can be as complete as you want it to be, there just needs to be something in every section. So you don't need to submit a pitch video right away. You can just submit like an outline of what you want your pitch video to be, or maybe a script so that we can review that. And then once you submit, we have 2 business days to get back to you. So if you send it on a Friday, we'll get back to you at latest on a Tuesday. And then after we send our full thoughts, we go through your campaign section by section. Once you go through those, you make your changes and resubmit. We have 1 additional business day to set up and figure out what needs to be changed, or if you're ready to go. So there isn't like a set period of time that feedback takes. Some people really want to lean on us for our expertise and plan super far ahead of time so that they submit for feedback like 6 months before they actually want to launch. And they really work with us back and forth to make sure that they are fully set up for success to reach their goals. Other people have crowdfunded before, they know the game, and they're kind of just looking for a gut check, and they get approved within a couple of days. So there's not like a guaranteed time period. The only guarantee is that the first time you submit, we get back to you within 2 business days. And every time you resubmit, we have an additional 24 hours to get back to you. So heads up, we are actually starting our holiday break next week. So if anybody's looking to submit for feedback before we take our holiday break, you're probably not going to get approved very quickly. But if you want to submit for feedback and actually hear back for the first time before we leave, you should submit by tomorrow morning. So that's just a heads up for everybody who's here.
Hopefully be taking breaks if they can during this holiday season.
Please let me take a break, guys. I love working with you, but also
Bri deserves a break
please.
More than anyone.
Are there any updates on Seed&Spark's distribution initiatives for 2021?
So I can speak a little bit to that. So on the streaming front, streaming is always available for new subscribers to support independent filmmakers with our Pay What You Can subscription. For the time being, though, the staff is not accepting any submissions for distribution consideration on the streaming platform. We will also speak more to this next year, but there are other products that we have launched that we'd be connecting creators with. It'll be different than our distribution, our streaming platform, but we'll likely have those more in the Lunch&Learn with someone from our Film Forward program, which you can read a little bit about on our website, as well as our ISE screenings. So because we're the creator success team, we're not the experts on those products. We want to make sure that you hear from the people who are working on those projects on a daily basis. So we're currently working with that side of the company to find ways on how we can merge with the creator success team and figure out a way to connect creators with these new ways that we're distributing and doing screenings with companies and clients. So
yeah, so more on that in 20. Yeah. You're a little ahead of us, but thanks for the question. Another question here. Do you think Seed&Spark would promo projects on social media as well just to help creators? So we actually already support creators on social media. We also highlight a handful of projects on our staff picks. Some of them are just automatically updated on our funding page on Seed&Spark because they're doing so well, like our algorithm. Whoever is getting the most followers in a set period of time, I think it's 12 hours, is getting, it will get featured on that page somewhere. But I do want to address this comment because it's one that we get a lot, and I want to kind of dispel some misconceptions about how crowdfunding works. So we absolutely love supporting creators, but of course we can't support everyone. And then there becomes a little bit of like resentment. And I understand if I'm not picked, I also get resentful. But here's the thing, even when we support projects on social media or in our newsletter or on our front page, there's actually barely an increase in like actual clicks to that project, because the Seed&Spark community, like any other crowdfunding platforms community, is other filmmakers looking for money. So there is no like Seed&Spark fundraising community. There's more of one here than anywhere else because we have such a clear group of people who are so wonderful and supportive. A handful of the people who have been commenting in today's stream are people who consistently support one another's projects. So there's certainly more in Seed&Spark's community than elsewhere. But what I will say is that there is statistically a very small like bump in traffic when you've been featured in social, on the website, in a newsletter, but 95% of the clicks to your crowdfunding page are a direct result of your outreach. So that's why one of the reasons that we're doing an outreach workshop next year is to help explain that a little bit more. So to say it again, because I really want to make sure that this is clear, 95% of the clicks that come to your crowdfunding page are direct clicks from outreach that you're doing, which is mostly going to be email, social media, reaching out with partners and influencers and things like that. It's going to come directly from you. So we love to help. We love to feature people who are doing particularly unique and interesting work, but that's more for vanity in all things considered. The real power is going to come from how well you connect with the audience for your project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about finding that relevant audience and not just finding someone with a following to share it. That being said, tag us and we'll always reshare. Danny's
definitely tag us.
Our mentions.
Question. When does Seed&Spark open again in 2021 after your lovely deserved break? Thank you very much, Susie Bill Writer. We come back, I think, January 4th. So the week after New Year's Day, we'll be back in the office. And so if any crowdfunding campaigns have come in over the break, we'll just get to those in the order that they were submitted in. So if you want yours reviewed early in January, submit early in December. And the same is true for technical support tickets and things like that.
Yeah, and our last day is Friday, just as a heads up. So get any of those emails, DMs, comments in before then, because we're going to try to log off as much as we can.
Yes. Okay, cool. Do we have any other questions about how crowdfunding works, about upcoming events? Do we have any suggestions for upcoming events, blog topics, short video series topics, anything like that? Like literally, we're up here to serve you. So what do you need? What are you looking for? What can we help with? That is our whole purpose for creator success. So let us know. And also note, if you've already made a comment, there's about a 30-second delay between when you are writing and when we are seeing things. So if like you've just written something and you're like, why isn't she answering my question? It's because there's a lag. It's live streaming, y'all. You know, we got to work together. But yeah, please.
Yes, Danny shared the link of how you start a crowdfunding campaign. I can also, if we don't have any questions at the moment, I can ask some questions of y'all from our survey and get some real-time responses.
Exciting.
If you want to just start typing away. I'll give a second. I think it feels like a good lag right now. So I know people have already mentioned this and some people are also asking, Marty has a comment. You know what would be cool? Video interviews with successful crowdfunders and the best practices they use or created.
Case studies is definitely a thing people have asked us to do. So if you have successful crowdfunders that you've noticed, you, Marty, or anyone else out there, if there's just like a really dope campaign that went up this year, put us in touch and we would love to reach out and get some case studies in the books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And biggest mistakes that campaigners can make. Yes, definitely. I think we have some of that. Like we have like misconception posts and things like that. We try not to focus on like failed campaigns, or failures or things like that. Mm-hmm. We try to reframe it more in like, here's some misconceptions that people have about crowdfunding. And here are best practices that we have seen be successful. But definitely, those are case studies is an absolutely fantastic thing that we definitely want to be doing. So if you guys have a preferred format for case studies that you've seen done elsewhere, whether it's in video interview or even just a blog or long form like article thing, if you have a template or a structure for case studies that you've really appreciated from elsewhere on the web, send it to us. And we would love to see that to make sure that they're the most useful for all of you. So Megan, take it away. What survey questions do we want to ask our people?
Yes. So have you crowdfunded with Seed&Spark before? I know some people have already mentioned in the comments they have. If so, was it the past year, past 2 years? prior to last 2 years, or no, if you haven't yet.
Yeah, so who's crowdfunded with us? Raise your hand. Yes, twice from Indy Jen Fisher,
awesome.
our one of our faves. And we know Marty has. We, of course, already did it. Okay, Anne. Anne has not crowdfunded with us yet. Anne, are you interested in crowdfunding with us?
Not
if
yet,
you would
said.
crowdfund with us?
Yeah, so you can also weigh in if you're considering, and if not, why not? You know, our feelings won't be hurt. We know it's a challenging, time of year, and also pandemic of the year. But we love to hear like what goes into the decision making of, maybe not now, maybe later. Yeah, and mention wanting a producing partner. That's completely reasonable. It takes a village. As someone who crowdfunded pretty much virtually solo, woof, you need that team. You need that support.
Yeah, there's a whole slide in the Crowdfunding to Build Independence workshop that says friends don't let friends crowdfund alone. So that's a big thing. Definitely you want to make sure you've got a team.
Yes, definitely.
Ryan asks, crowdfunding with whom? With us, obviously, Ryan. Come on.
Yes.
We're Seed&Spark, the greatest crowdfunding platform out there for creators and storytellers of all kinds. And if you have questions about how our crowdfunding works, please ask them. And also, again, more suggestions, because, we can only make more content and host more events if you tell us what content and events you're looking for.
Oh, I think we got a question from Susie Bellwriter.
Right. If my arts community and supporters are back home in South Africa, is that really my Seed&Spark crowdfunding market, even if I am based in America? Our South African economy is not very strong, so friends and fam paying in dollars is unrealistic with the exchange rate. So that's fair. So just like a high level thing, international crowdfunding is absolutely a thing that we offer, because all contributions come through in credit card payments. So as long as your credit card allows international transactions, which most of the major credit cards, if not all, do support, then you can get crowdfunding dollars from anywhere. So what I would say is, if you are concerned about your personal network's ability to fund your project, wow, that's totally fair, and it makes sense. A lot of us have communities that are struggling. My audience tends to be young millennial freelancers, and I don't know if you've heard, but we've had a hard year. So we're all, at least we don't have to pay student loans back right now. But yeah. I feel your pain is what I'm saying. So in that case, what I would recommend to you is look more deeply into who is this content for? Who is going to be watching this film? Who do I want to be watching this film? Who is going to love it and be obsessed with it more than anybody else? And start building those communities. And some of those people might be in South Africa, and some of them might be in America, where you're now based. So it's all about figuring out who is this project for and what is going to excite them most to get on board early. And the other thing about crowdfunding is that even small amounts add up. The whole point of crowdfunding is it's a crowd, it takes a village, it takes a crowd to make a movie. So it doesn't you don't have to put pressure on people to give as much as they possibly can. Even a little bit helps. The point is to get people excited. The point is to get people so hyped up for this project that they can't not contribute. We know people are still willing to pay for art and for access to media because everyone's bored. Everywhere in the world they're bored, except for probably New Zealand and Australia, where apparently COVID-19 is just not a thing anymore. Congrats, by the way, to you guys. Please, can we move there, please?
Yeah.
But point being, the thing about crowdfunding is getting a lot of people excited, and then giving them a beautiful page where they can decide how to spend that excitement. And actually, we have an article called "Can I Crowdfund If My Friends Are Broke?" which I am going to throw into the comments right now. So if you are interested in that, that's something that came out early on in the pandemic. Who knows why that was when it came out. And yeah, definitely check that out if that's something that you're interested in.
Looks like we've got a few more people considering projects, launching or submitting. VC Ron asked about projects to compare and contrast. I think that goes into the case studies that we're definitely looking to pinpoint the ones. And, every project's different. And I think that might also involve us knowing a little bit about your project, and then being able to make suggestions of ones to look at in terms of, genre, audience, but even budget.
So Kevin wanted to know if we could get like an alumni group or some sort for sharing info. That's kind of what social media is. Like most of our community is on Twitter, and they tend to swap ideas back and forth there. Yeah, as somebody who has worked for many places that have started their own platforms, honestly, just use the ones you already have. There are tons of ways to connect with people all the time. And we love, like, if you ever want to ask the Seed&Spark community something, tweet, like, at us on Twitter, and we'll try, if we have time that day, because social media is a hard knock job that should not be done lightly. But if we have the space that day, we love amplifying people's questions for each other. We love making sure that all of our community is visible to everyone else in our community. So if you have a question, if you want to connect, if you just want to swap ideas, brainstorm, maybe even find a collaborator, definitely at us, and we would love to amplify that information, because that is who our community is. Again, it's not people who necessarily have the most money in the world who are looking to spend it on as many cool indie projects as possible, but it is a really amazing, diverse group of independent creators who love talking to each other and sharing information and bringing everybody up at the same time.
And what I've also seen is from events and virtual events and workshops, people in the chats have been kind of connecting with each other and then creating their own groups off of those connections. Like, we do not have the bandwidth to moderate our own Facebook group, but I definitely encourage you, if that's something you feel you need or would find support from, or come across creators specifically around crowdfunding or crowdfunding from Seed&Spark, then I definitely encourage you to form those groups on your own as well.
Yeah. Also, in just the comment section of events like this, people tend to share like their social ads. Like anytime that I do the Art of the Pitch workshop, one of the things that unfortunately we can't really do anymore is do live practicing of the exercises that we teach in that class. But every single time I teach it, everyone in the comments starts like sharing Instagram ads and things like that so that they can pair up later and do the exercises. So attending our events is a great way to network with fellow creators. Susie Bell, writer, can you clarify this question? So your question, as I understand it, are you asking if we are more active on Twitter versus Instagram? Because the answer is no. I think we're pretty much consistently. If you're asking about crowdfunding in general, is it easier to crowdfund on Twitter versus Instagram? It depends on your audience. Like, my audience tends to be on Twitter. The types of people that I make content for are Twitter users. And also I hate Instagram. So even if my audience was there, I know I'm not going to be successful at reaching them there to the best of my abilities. So hopefully that answers either of your questions. But if you had a more specific one, please feel free to write us again.
And Bri, there's an elective that we're launching that includes a note around surveying your audience before, like in that pre-production of
and I think there's also specifically a social media for crowdfunding elective that we'll be offering next year as well. So yeah, if any of you are members of a filmmaking organization who collects filmmakers and offers them resources, and we don't know about them yet, or we haven't worked with them before, definitely put us in touch, and we would love to program some educational stuff for you. So sorry, Laura Cuddy, I had brought your question up to answer, and then we were still answering something else. Is there a world in which a Seed&Spark campaign could raise money for a film that is already finished, but looking to raise finishing funds from our existing fan base for self-hybrid distribution? Yes, absolutely. That's what I did. My campaign that was in March was for a film that I shot back in 2018. We were just finishing up our festival run. We had done it entirely off of fumes and artistic excitement and volunteer efforts. And we really wanted, especially as the pandemic was coming down around us, to pay our amazing cast and crew for the work that they did 2 years ago, unfortunately, but hey, better late than never. And so, yeah, that's what we did. We basically used the campaign as a marketing stunt to kind of launch us into our online distribution. So when we put our film up on YouTube and Amazon Prime, the crowdfunding campaign was a way to point people towards that. And also we got money out of it. Win-win. So yes, 100% you can crowdfund at any stage. As long as you're communicative with your audience about it, they'll be behind you. As long as you are super clear about hey, this is why we need money, and this is why this film is going to be awesome. People are going to give you money no matter what.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I didn't realize, when I crowdfunded, you think that you had budgeted enough to cover post and distribution, and then you're like, wow, the cost of submitting to festivals alone. But it can be a two-piecer for people, you know, and if you've already built that audience, what a win that you can go back to them if you're, you know, being transparent with them about where your money goes.
Yeah, transparency is key in any kind of crowdfunding. And then quick question from Indy Jen Fisher, who should we reach out to about workshops and programming workshop for communities? Meghan, do you want to just give your email or should we give them the crowdfunding email?
You can have my email. So it's Danny will drop it in the chat, Meghan with an H at seedandspark.com. And basically we work with organizations and partners to schedule workshops based on also our schedules. So we can start that conversation, and we'll be launching our new educational offerings, expanding, as Bri mentioned, and adding a few more courses and electives to our main curriculum. So next year would be a great time to connect on scheduling a workshop.
Yep. Also, if you haven't attended that many of our events before, our YouTube channel has playlists of a ton of educational things and a ton of past events that we've done that range from like highly practical that are very interactive and also just sort of inspirational and fun and connecting you to people that you might not have heard about before. One of my favorite events that we did this year was actually a zine. I always say zine, a zine. It's zine, Shay. I know it's pronounced zine. There was a zine making workshop, Lunch and Learn, that we did one time that was just really, really fun. And despite the fact that I am incapable of pronouncing the word zine, that's a former Lunch and Learn that we had with a couple of zine creators on. And that was something really fun that I never even considered. So yeah, definitely check out our YouTube channel if you are curious about yeah, Shay is giving me crap from the private chat about the fact that I truly can never pronounce zine correctly. Whatever.
Jury's still out on GIF versus GIF. So
no, it's GIF. It's absolutely GIF, 100% GIF. I will
die on the hill of GIF. But I will also say, if you're not attached to an organization or a partner, that you can always check seedandspark.com/events, and pretty much most of our workshops are public facing and listed on Eventbrite. So even though an organization may be co-hosting it for their community, most of the time anyone can access that as long as they RSVP.
All right, cool. Some people have the wrong opinion about the pronunciation of GIF in the chat. That's fine. You're allowed to be wrong. You know, this is 2020, and if we've learned nothing else, we've learned that it's absolutely fine to be wrong. But I will not be taking questions at this time on the subject of GIFs. However, I am taking questions on crowdfunding, on what Seed&Spark is up to, on events in 2021. I am also taking suggestions on all of the above. So please get your questions in now.
I just want to flag Susie Bell Ryder when she was thanking you for your answer, said, love your enthusiasm. And I love that she incorporated her name into a word. And now I'm going to be trying to like insert Meghan into things. Brilliant.
Megan? No. We'll keep workshopping. If anyone has a pun for Megan's name that means excitement, please let us know.
Open in the comments. Marty had a comment around distribution with independent theaters. We've talked through this. It's challenging. And it's such a bummer to see a lot of theaters being shut down permanently. It's definitely an idea that we floated around. I think it's hard for us to kind of put timing around when we'd be able to do any in-person screenings, but we appreciate always wanting to support local theaters as well.
Yeah.
I would love to see a future where we can, support independent creators and the theaters on a smaller scale at the same time.
Definitely. And if you are or know a small time, like an independent arts venue, art house cinema, anything like that, we are open for crowdfunding for those as well. We actually have a full blog post about how to crowdfund as a event. So film festival, venues, art space, or organization. So if you know an organization struggling who might need some extra help in crowdfunding, we actually have a full blog specifically for that. I will send that to Danny right now so she can share in the chat.
Yeah, I feel that's like a big debunking thing too, because even when I started in this role, I didn't realize that you can crowdfund as a production house. You can crowdfund. It doesn't have to be one specific project. It could just be like the sustainability of the organization or festival or what have you. Either way, we're supporting storytelling and independent creators in this same sense, just different ways about it.
Yeah, it's all about just connecting with people, being really transparent about what you're looking for and what they're getting in exchange. Here's a little tidbit, unsolicited advice about crowdfunding for any kind of crowdfunding campaign you're doing. Remind yourself that your crowdfunding project is just as much about the people who you are pitching your project to as it is about the awesome project that you're pitching. And I think that that's something that gets lost a lot of times because, we've lived with these ideas, this event, this venue for so long. It's our baby and we are so excited to share it with the world. And that's awesome. But you are sharing it with someone. So in the best way to successfully market, to crowdfund, whatever else under the sun, is to figure out what is it that other people are getting out of this thing that you're excited to share with them. And it's not just to watch a good movie. Come on, guys. All of us have good movies inside us. What makes your specific movie, arts venue, arts event, etc., particularly valuable to your audience? And that, you can answer that in a ton of different ways. Maybe you are representing a previously underrepresented group. Maybe you are offering a new perspective on a tried and true trope. Maybe you are, raising awareness for something. Maybe there's some kind of social justice angle. Maybe it's just that, nobody's ever seen this done quite this way. We have somebody crowdfunding right now who's making an infrared documentary that's super cool. And apparently that's just never been done. And that's the uniqueness. Do you want to see nature in a way that you've never seen it before? Yeah, kind of. That sounds awesome. So that's what you're looking for. That's what's going to connect you to people beyond your personal network. What are they getting from your project? If you can answer that, you're going to be successful.
Just a quick update. I think we've got some name attempts.
Oh yes, we have to check in on the puns.
So Rob had Rabtastic.
Yeah, Rabtastic is excellent.
And then I got from Susie, what a megatastic idea, Megan.
Megatastic's not bad.
Yeah, I can work with that. And then I just want a quick shout out to Paprika Magic. That's a filmmaker who I met when I was crowdfunding a couple years back and showed up at my first crowdfunding in-person fundraiser. And she had just had a wonderful documentary that finished up, I think, on the film festival circuit. So I love running into people in the chat here.
I see somebody commented about the crippling self-doubt. Don't you worry, my friend. We have a blog for you. I'm sending it now. Literally, that was something that came up a lot, especially this year. Imposter syndrome is real on every level of creating and marketing and crowdfunding for creative works. It's something that I experienced. It's something that all of us experience. It's something that we experience every single moment of our lives because existence is so hard, everyone. But there's a lot that you can do to at least intellectually understand that you're being unreasonable, even if you don't emotionally get it. So that is being shared right now, Managing Self-Doubt blog. And hopefully you will find some solutions there, or at least some strategies to move forward.
Yeah, I personally need that in my day-to-day. I remember when I was crowdfunding, feeling like the only way I could put it into words is, asking friends and family for money is I felt like once I launched, it was like my nudes leaked. I don't have nudes, but that was the only analogy that came to mind. And then when I screened the short in front of some of the pledges that had crowdfunded, it was like a tiny friends and family screening cast and crew. I was like, this feels like I'm live streaming a gyno appointment. Like the TMI, but it just feels like when you're putting your work out there and then also asking people to care about it and support it. Oh, is it vulnerable? And I applaud every creator who does that. So thank you for all of y'all for sticking with us.
Yeah.
I know TMI.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just reframing the way that you think of it, like don't think of it as sharing your nudes. Think of it as, I wanted to make this project for a reason. I thought it was a really great idea, and I thought I was the exact person that should make it, or at least the first person to come up with it. So it's my turn, like finders keepers. This is my project. And so focus on, just getting people excited about it for all the same reasons that you're excited about it. Take yourself out of the equation and just become a fan of your own work. And I found that that's a very helpful, like, restructuring. Doesn't mean, again, that I emotionally believe any of this nonsense that I'm saying, but it's helpful to at least like get yourself to do at least one thing for it.
Yeah. There's a level of fake it till you make it that you kind of have to put
100%.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm 100% faking it right now. I know I seem like a calm, collected genius up here. Actually, I am like a terrified imposter syndrome ridden genius. Still a genius, but
That makes two.
So Laura is asking, does Seed&Spark have any plans to enter the virtual theatrical distribution partnership space? So we did have a online an online screaming platform for a ton of festivals and events that weren't able to continue on in person this year. We had a great run. We did it for about 9 months. We built it in like 2 weeks, I think. It was so impressive. So hats off to the entire team that worked on that. We are shuttering that at the end of the year to focus on other distribution opportunities and the other things that we're working on, which Meghan kind of already talked about. So we actually did do that. We're just not doing it anymore. And I want to share this. So, Indy Jen Fisher, it helps me to often to reframe imposter syndrome as gate fatigue. And the cool thing about crowdfunding is you are breaking through the gates. I love that.
Oh, I love that so much.
That's very cool. Because like, who are you the imposter of? Like, what do you think people are going to find out about you? That you want to do this? Yeah, of course you do. It's fine. We're allowed to want things.
Yeah. It's funny. I think we have this idea in our head that there's like another boss above us when it comes to our own independent work. Like no one, like, who am I disappointing? Just myself. Like, that's the biggest boss.
Like, and like, what does it mean to be a fraud? Because I think that most imposter syndrome is linked to like, they're going to find out. Like, what are they going to find out? What is it?
Yeah. I'm like, oh man, people are going to realize that I work really hard to overcompensate for my fear of them thinking I am not good at what I do. Like,
yeah. And the hard truth is that some people are going to think that you're not good at it.
Yeah. And just leave them behind in 2020.
So Antool wanted Indy Jen Fisher to elaborate on this, but we're here on screen right now. So Indy Jen Fisher is definitely going to write a blog post about it. But I am assuming that you meant gatekeeping, like gatekeeping fatigue, like you're just exhausted by people not letting you have the opportunities that you might want, other people deciding when it's your turn to be able to do things. And yeah, Jen's totally right. Crowdfunding is a way to say, screw everyone else. I don't need permission. I want to do this thing, so I'm going to do it. And the only thing getting in my way is whether or not other people want me to do this. And more often than not, again, if you remember what they're getting out of it as much as you know what you're getting out of it, people are going to be there. There's an audience for everything, even if it's super niche. And honestly, the more niche the projects are, the more like rabid the fan base is. They're called cult movies for a reason.
I think there's like so much wonderful art out there that if they waited around for someone to say yes to them or to grant them permission to give them, like whatever made up contract, we wouldn't have had it. So I don't have the examples handy, but I know that is essentially how indie filmmaking works, is not waiting for the authority figures, the gatekeepers, to tell you can do something and just going off and doing it.
Yeah. And honestly, like, it's easier to have conversations with the gatekeepers once you've done it yourself a couple of times, because then you realize you don't actually need them all that much. And you now have the power, because what gatekeepers are trying to keep you out of is like wasting their time. But if you come in and already have like experience audience building, you already have an audience who loves your content and who helped you raise money for it before it even existed. That is powerful data to be able to bring to people. And that's data that you can uniquely get from crowdfunding, because when you know what people are willing to spend money on, even ahead of actually getting the thing, then you now have the information that those gatekeepers say that they have, but don't actually have. So that's another reason to circumvent them entirely, and either just keep creating on your own or come to the table with a lot more negotiating power.
That's the funny thing about like decision makers. A lot of times they have not had those lived experiences of, you know, what you have, building an audience and crowdfunding. You know, they've been in the comfort of their cushy corporate jobs.
So Christopher Prince has a question, and we're going to send you a blog post. Y'all, we got so many blog posts. But Christopher asks, can you give some details on the suggested number of emails addresses needed to successfully raise a specific amount of money? So we actually have a formula for this, which is going to be in that blog that you're going to get any minute now. But basically, here are the high level things that you should know about email addresses versus crowdfunding goal. So on average, about 20 to 30% of the people in your email list will give you money. And on average, the most common contribution in crowdfunding is $25. So if you assume that 20 to 30% of your email list will give you $25 each, multiply those two numbers, and what do you have? If that is less than 30% of the goal that you want to raise, it might be a little bit unrealistic at this time. So you either need to lower your goal and only crowdfund for a portion of it, or it means that you need to spend more time doing some grassroots audience building efforts. And I guess this is a relevant time to remind you that, yes, email addresses, about 20 to 30% is the conversion rate. So when you send somebody an email, you have about a 30% chance of them giving you money. On social media, that percentage is 1 to 2%. So social media is a great tool. It's especially great for audience building, but it's a bridge. It's not a direct route from social media follow to crowdfunding contribution. So while social media absolutely has a place in your crowdfunding outreach strategy, it should not be the sole strategy.
And also keeping in mind that algorithm, the ever-changing algorithm, is also an uphill battle that you're working against as a creator building an audience. So it's hard to track conversions, especially. Actually, I did the math on my campaign in March because I was really curious. I had been teaching our crowdfunding workshop for a while, and I was like, I'm saying all these numbers. Is this true? Because I feel like my Twitter followers are very engaged. I'm like, all of my friends are on Twitter, so I did the math, and 0.7% of my social media following ended up contributing to my campaign. And 20% of my email contacts did. And I also noticed that people would retweet like my crowdfunding posts on Twitter, but it wasn't until I sent them a direct email that they actually contributed. Like, it was instant when I sent them an email, but I knew that they were seeing and sharing my social posts. So like, it's so much more vulnerable. I get that. It's so much more vulnerable to just like directly email somebody and be like, please give me money. Frame it better than that. We have a blog for that too. But the, high risk, high reward. Yeah. I think it was like the last day or two when I started that direct contact versus like the mass emails is when I had like, I think like a 10% increase of my crowdfunding numbers overall. Yeah. I mean, it's basic. Wow. The word just totally left my head. The mob psychology, bystander effect. That's what it is. Yes. So like, that's what's happening is that when you make something super vague, it's not personal to people. So you're not really keeping them in mind. You're just like making a general message like, hey, universe, give me money. But when you go directly to somebody, it's a lot harder for them to deny it. And it's a lot easier for you to personalize it. And personalizing it doesn't mean that you have to spend like a million days crafting the perfect email. It just means like adding a little small
talk at the top, and making
Mhm.
sure that like the email template that you're sending them is the one that they're going to like most. You know, when I email my grandmother about supporting my crowdfunding campaign, I write her a very different message than I write to my best friend from college. And that's something that you need to be keeping in mind. Definitely check out our email list, Lunch and Learn, for an exploration on that. Paprika Magic asks, how is Instagram and LinkedIn for your social media building? Having trouble with that. I've never used LinkedIn really for like non-professional stuff. I don't feel like arts people are on there.
Yeah, it's not the best. I mean, unless your project has an audience that is, uses LinkedIn more than any other social platform. So maybe like business execs.
Mhm.
I have been seeing it used to share news and like get traction on that front, but I wouldn't rely on LinkedIn as because people are gradually kind of starting to use it as another social platform with status updates, but I wouldn't rely on it as part of your strategy unless that's where you find your audience, that like your audience already exists there.
Yeah. So it is officially the end of our town hall, but thank you so much to everyone for being here. These were awesome questions. These were awesome suggestions. I, for one, as much as I am excited for my 2-week break, I'm super excited to come back in 2021 to make it an even better year for all of us.
Yes, we're excited to support y'all however we can. And as another reminder, the survey will be open until the end of the year. The chats and the links and the comments will also be available after this goes live, or not live, but is saved on our feed. You can check this out along with all of our other Lunch and Learns and CSSs that have been recorded. We hope y'all, oh yes, our goal setting workshop is our next event. So if you're already thinking about what you'd like to accomplish in 2021, definitely join Bri and I along with the Light Leaks on January 6th, and have a good holiday season. Rest, relax, follow our 7 days of holiday survival toolkit, which includes Bri's blog about finding moments to be creative but not productive. Did I screw that up? Was that the
That's close enough. You got the
close
spirit.
enough? But we appreciate y'all. Ooh, brilliant, megatastic, and brilliant, brilliant. That's that's our superhero name.
I really appreciate Susie Bell's commitment to puns during this town hall. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was what I was in this for, but like that's the only reason that I am going to remember this is the incredible, incredible pun. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So wonderful. Thank you all for being so lovely in the chat, and for joining us. And we hope you
Yeah.
have a lovely holiday season.
Yeah. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye.